Hi everybody, this is Cindy Guentert-Baldo, and today we're going to be talking about pens. Pens are arguably the most important accessory in planner, like community planner using the world of planner, everything, you know, the planner, whole planner situation. Pens are the most important part because you don't need washi tape, you don't need stickers, you don't need a planner band. I know this is all like, you know, heresy, but ultimately all you need if you're paper planning, besides your paper planner, is a pen. And so it's no wonder that the pens are the most loved and the most contested accessory in the planner world. So I'm going to talk about some today. This is going to be a two-part video. I'm working on some editing things, and I'm trying to not make my videos 300 years long like they usually are. So bear with me and my attempts at being a master of the YouTube video editing. I'm also filming in my daughter's room today, which is mildly creepy, but the light's better in here, and I'm still trying to figure all that out. So a couple of disclaimers. For one, I'm not attempting to make this a super full of the F-bomb video. I'm not trying, and I never try to cuss, but it happens. But I'm probably not going to cuss as much in this video because I love pens. I love talking about pens. There's not a lot of frustration. That's where a lot of it comes from. But, so, you know, there might be something, but who knows. Two, the pens that I'm talking about are the pens I own and that I use or I've attempted to use. I'm not going to attempt to cover all of the pens out there because there are a lot of pens out there. And I don't have the interest or the money or the time to try them all out. So this will just be covering the pens that I personally have tried. And then finally, this video is going to cover basic writing pens. So ballpoint pens, gel pens, felt tipped pens. And then I'm going to cover, some of the pens that I love for lettering and for drawing. I'm going to cover some of those at the beginning. I will not be covering brush pens in this video. I will not be covering dip pens or fountain pens in this video. That will come in the next video. That's kind of like the moving beyond regular pens and into the more fancy lettering tools. I'll also cover markers in that video. So that'll be part 2, so look for that one. So the first pens I want to talk about are probably the redheaded stepchild of the planner community. They are ballpoint pens. Just plain old ballpoint pens. And a lot of them, like the Bic stick and just generic ass pens. You can get them in a box for a couple bucks at Staples. For regular old ballpoint pens, you can spend a little bit more money and get a better one. But a lot of people turn their noses down at ballpoint pens, and it's easy to see why. They're not as smooth flowing as gel pens. They don't write as cleanly or have that nice feel the way the felt tip pens do. But ballpoint pens are really useful for a couple of things. Having next to your planner in case somebody steals your pen at work. If you want to keep you don't want to keep your good pen next to your planner at work because those are the ones people are going to steal. So you keep the ballpoint pens and people will take those, and then, big deal. Also, they're great for sketching. Because of the way they don't flow super cleanly, they actually make some really fun, sketchy drawings. Anyway, the ones that I personally enjoy and the ones I've heard the most about are Inkjoy pens. Inkjoy pens are retractable, or they can come with a cap on them. They come in an array of colors, and they are fairly inexpensive. You can I bought a pack of them at Target. It was, I don't know, like 15, 20 pens, different colors, a couple of each color, for like $4.50 at Target. We're talking about gel pens now that we've done with the ballpoint. So gel pens, and you can't talk about gel pens without talking about Pilot G2s. Pilot G2s are the Honda Civic of gel pens, the Honda Civic of planner pens in general. They are inexpensive, but high quality. You can get a lot of use out of them. They have them in all sorts of colors. They are, they'll last you a long time, and you see them everywhere. So yeah, like a Honda Civic. You can get plain G2s, you can get patterned G2s, you can get them in metallic, you can get them in awareness sets, you can get points from 0.38, 0.5, 0.7, all the way up to 1.0 tips, and that's just the ones I've seen. You can find them everywhere. They're at Target, they're maybe, I don't know, $10 for a pack, like 8 of them. You can get them at Jet Pens, and Jet Pens has an array of colors. You can order them from the old Amazon, and they'll come in any way. They write smoothly, and I really don't have much bad to say about them. They are an excellent, excellent pen if you're looking for a nice G2, a nice gel pen in general to be able to write in your planner. So cannot for the life of me give you anything bad about the G2s. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can get the Target gel rollers. The Target gel rollers are the Target version of G2s, and they work almost as well. They're a little bit more goopy when they start writing. Like sometimes the ink will like clot up a little bit. It's a really terrible word. I hate the word clot. If you are on a super tight budget, give the Target gel rollers. I lately have been obsessed with ultra fine tip gel pens from like China or Japan or Korea. And I don't have a brand for you. I don't have a name for you. All I know is that they're the pens that come in the Happy Planner kit from Happy Scrappy. And you can get them otherwise. You can find them on like Etsy and stuff like that. But they're usually like a 0.38 super fine tip. They flow super smoothly and the black is really rich. And they're usually like super cute. So I treasure these pens. I can't give you any other cost details than that, only to tell you that if you get your hands on any of these pens, hoard them. Finally, in the gel pen arena that I'm talking about today, I'm talking about colctos. Now, colctos they're made by Pilot from Japan, and what they are is they're akin to the multi-color pens that we used to use in like elementary school and junior high. These ones, you buy a body, and then you pop the body open. Try not to wreck my nail here. You pop the body open. Okay, well, whatever, I'm not doing it right. You pop the body open and you slip in the refills, and you can get them in a couple of different sizes. I think the ones I've seen have gone either 3, 4, or 5 colors. Then you buy the colors separately, and the colors that I've seen come in either 0.3, 0.4, or 0.5 tips. I got my bodies from Maido. It's a Japanese stationery store, and it's in Japantown in San Francisco. If you have access to a Maido or a Kinokuniya or any of those Japanese stationery type stores, and you might be able to find colcto bodies and refills there. If you go to Jet Pens, you can find more colors of the bodies, and the bodies tend to run anywhere from like $2.50 to like $6, $7, $8, depending on how many colors the body holds and how fancy the body is. If you search Etsy, there's a shop called Kawaii Japani, and I'll link it in the bottom, where you can sometimes find really neat, like patterned with like, you know, Tsum Tsum, or like there was a fried eggs one, I think, bodies that have like patterns on them. So you can do that too. The refills generally cost around $2.20 on Jet Pens. It's about what I paid, I think, at Maido. You can buy big packs of them. You can buy solo colors to find the ones that you want. They write really smoothly. It's nice to have several colors at your disposal, even on the go. The one downside that I've noticed to colctos is that the ink runs out quickly if you do a lot of writing. So be prepared for that. Felt tip markers. Felt tip markers are my favorite writing. Well, that's not really true. I say they're my favorite, but then I've been loving on the gel pens. So felt tip markers are another really fun one. The most well-known of felt tip markers are at least in my mind, are the Flair Papermate Flair markers. They come in 2 tips. This is the medium tip. It's a porous tip. It's pretty broad. They also come in a extra fine tip, but I don't have any of those. I thought I had some of those, but I can't find them. You can get them for pretty cheap. You can get a pack of 2 black ones. You can get a huge amount of colors. They come with special edition colors sometimes. And they're wonderful if you like a really thick letter when you're writing. Some people swear by them. Other people who have big writing to start with may not like them as much because it is a very, very broad tip. The extra fine ones are a lot more fun to write with, but even those are broad compared to like an extra fine gel tipped marker. I love them though because of how smooth they write. One drawback about the flairs is because they are so broad, they can bleed if you have a heavy hand like I do. Coming up next to the flairs, and which actually have a similar tip to the extra fine Flair markers, are Le Pens. Le Pens, again, pen I'm familiar with from when I was in middle school. They come in several colors. I like them because their tip is a little finer than the Flair, but it has the same writing style. And the body is really round and really smooth, but it's this like shiny kind of material, so it doesn't feel so matte. I know that sounds weird, but when I'm holding the flairs, they're kind of matte feeling, and the flairs are, or the Le Pens are super smooth and nice. I'm totally like molesting my pen here. I ordered the Le Pens off of Amazon. I got a set of 18 colors. I think it's all the colors they have, and it cost about 20 bucks for the set of 18, but I absolutely love them. The colors are very, very vibrant. The one real issue is that because they're kind of small and I have bigger hands, that sometimes bugs me, but not much. I will go back to the Le Pens all the time. Finally, for fine tip markers, we have the dueling battle between the Stabilo fine tip markers and the Staedtler the fine liners, I think is what they're called. They both, in so many ways, are very similar. They have a similar price point, generally. They have a similar range of colors, although you can find like some earth tones in the Staedtlers that I haven't really seen in the Stabilos. But the Stabilos have a better price on a bigger set of a multiple of colors. So it's, you know, and that's just what I've seen. But when it comes to cost, when it comes to writing style, they're very, very similar to each other. Then there's the barrels, and the barrels are the real difference. Stabilo's barrels are like a, what is that? 6 sides, I can't remember geometry. Pentagon? That's not right, that's 5. Hexagon? Whatever. Whatever the 6-sided geometry figure is, that's what these have as the shape of their barrel, whereas the Staedtlers have like a triangular barrel. Staedtler's barrel doesn't roll, which is nice. I don't like the feel of it in my hand. I don't like the feel of the triangle barrel. It just feels odd to me. I don't mind. I actually like the feel of the 6-sided Stabilo. So that's why I prefer those. I also prefer the colors I got in my pack. But I will use either of them. I like them both okay. They're great. I don't use them all the time, but I will use them from time to time. But in general, most felt tip pens, I will like them. Even if the barrel is weird to me, even if the tip feels strange, I will probably gravitate towards a felt tip pen way before a ballpoint and even before a gel pen a lot of the time because of how heavy-handed I am. The felt tip pens tend to feel better for me when I use them. For the final group of pens we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to talk about the pens that I use for my lettering. Now, if you bought a lettering set from me when I sold them in the past, and hopefully I'll sell them again in the future, you'll recognize a lot of these pens. I just want to talk about them. Now, these could fall under gel pens. Some of these could fall under felt tip pens, but I'm keeping them as separate because these are not pens that I generally gravitate towards for writing in my planner, but I will gravitate towards for drawing. And you can use most of these in your planner if you use a light touch. First, we have the Jelly Roll. And like I said, this could go in the gel pen category, but I keep it out of that because I personally use it for lettering. They come in metallics. They come in these like kind of 3D effect colors. They come in colors that write well on dark paper. But the one I use the most is just a black Jelly Roll pen, and I use this for lettering. And I love it because it's broad, it's smooth, it's really vibrant, stands well right off the paper, and it doesn't bleed as long as I don't overdo it. And I would recommend the Jelly Roll for someone who wants to get a pen that would serve them well in their planner and serve them well for practicing lettering. This Jelly Rolls are inexpensive. You can get them for like $1.50 maybe. If you go to Michael's, they have them there solo. I love them. I love Jelly Rolls. I will never stop. I have no cons for them, mostly just because I love them so much. I'm sure there might be some, but I can't tell you. Then we have Pigma Microns. Pigma Microns are fairly well known throughout the cartooning world and like the manga drawing world and the drawing world in general for being awesome pens. They're made by Sakura, and they're great for a lot of reasons. The ink is archival ink. It won't fade. It's waterproof ink, so you can lay it down and then let it dry and then do watercolor on top of it or other wet mediums, and it's not going to go anywhere. So that's really awesome. They come in a huge array of tips, all the way down from a minuscule like 005 tip, all the way up to like a broad tip, a calligraphy tip, there's a brush tip, it's an astonishing array of different size tips. And you can buy a pack with several different tips in it to utilize for like drawing or for lettering, to be able to do fine detail work and do big fat like border lettering, all that. It's great with the Pigma Microns. The color's nice and dark, and if you use any of the smaller, like the 3 or the 5 or the 2 or the 1 in your planner, it probably won't bleed that much as long as you don't layer it on too thickly. We have the pittartist pens. Now these pens are the shit. They're legit. They come, again, in a wide variety of tips, but instead of being called 0.1 or 0.5 or whatever, they're called small, medium, fine, brush, you know, calligraphy. Those are what the tips are called. The ink is super black. It's India ink. It's also waterproof. and the tips are really tough. I wouldn't use a Pigmicron when I was art journaling, when I have like layers of paper and like medium down, because the tip gets torn up. But pittartist pens can stand up to some of it. They won't stand up to a ton of abuse, but they will stand up to some of it. And like I said, the ink is super dark. The colors of these, when you get them in different colors, are absolutely gorgeous. And you can use them in your planner as long as you don't press down too hard or be too heavy-handed with them. The final group of pens I'm going to talk about today are, no joke, my favorite pens ever, Sharpies. I love Sharpies. This is the regular Sharpie. This is the fine point Sharpie permanent marker, the one everybody knows about. I use this a lot at work. I will use them a ton until I've used them until the tip has bent down. I love them. Sharpies, not to be used in your planner. I actually have some Sharpie pens, but I forgot to grab them. You can use those in your planner, but I'm not going to talk about those right now because I want to talk about the excellence that is these Sharpies. And then you have this one. This is the ultra fine point. People love writing on washi tape with these, and you could tell what the ultra fine point is because it has the color on the tip, on the end, and then the tip has this like metal kind of situation for the tip. I hate these ones. These are not my favorites. My favorite is the extra fine point. It has a slightly broader tip. I like how the ink flows with this one, and you can tell the difference because the bottom is not colored. None of these are really good for using in your planner, but if you're practicing lettering, Sharpies are a lot of fun to work with because they're inexpensive, but they letter super black, and it just makes it really easy to see what you're doing and be able to do a lot of lettering without feeling like you're wasting an expensive $3 art pen. You can buy Sharpies for super cheap from like Staples or from Target or whatever. The extra fine ones are harder to find. That's why I try to sell them in my pen packs when I get them. But you can totally use the ultra fine for practice of lettering too. I just personally don't like them because I destroy the tips. If you're going to write with Sharpies, use like a cardstock or a Bristol board, or just make sure to lay some paper underneath what you're working on because the Sharpies will not only bleed through, they'll bleed onto whatever it is that you're using. So that's all of the pens I'm talking about today. The next time I'm going to throw the Sharpie pens, not the Sharpie markers, but the Sharpie pens into the next one that I do because I totally forgot to bring them in when I was doing my list for this video. I'll also be talking about brush pens, touching on dip pens, which I'm still kind of learning about, and then going into some markers that I use and some colored pencils. So we'll talk all about that in the next video in part 2. As always, leave a comment below if you have any questions or have pens you want to recommend to me. You can follow me on Instagram at @LlamaLetters, and you can also find me on Periscope at @LlamaLetters. Also, you can find my worksheets for all my videos at www.llamaslovelettering.com. Subscribe to me for more videos. I try and put them out every week, but I'm not always consistent with it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I appreciate everything that you do, and see you next time.